those times when you feel like giving up?
I wasn't calm. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry nonstop.
I looked fine. Nobody would know that, I was going through so much.
When I wasn't looking at things in a positive way, I had no control over anything.
I'm gonna leave that stuff behind me, and I don't want to carry that into my next 10 years of life, if I'm lucky to live another 10 years.
Welcome to the She Word, conversations women rarely have but really should. I'm Sasha, your host for this edition of the She Word, the Young Women's Edition, and today we're talking about a word that gets thrown around a lot: positivity. Now, I know that word can feel a bit overused, sometimes maybe even a little annoying, especially when life isn't going the way you hoped. When you're navigating grief, health struggles, heartbreak, job loss, or just the everyday messiness of being human, it's hard to just stay positive. And sometimes hearing that phrase feels more like pressure than encouragement. But what if positivity isn't about pretending things are fine? What if it's about finding strength in vulnerability, choosing hope in the face of fear, and showing up with grace even when everything feels heavy? That's the kind of positivity we're here to talk about today. Not the polished, perfect version, but the powerful one that grows from experience, from heartbreak, from resilience. And joining me for this conversation today are three incredible women who know exactly what that means. First up, we have Monica, 36, a single mom of three. She's a breast cancer survivor and a true warrior, spreading a message of strength, resilience, and positive mindset. Welcome, Monica.
Thank you.
Then we have Rachel, 33, a senior compliance professional who has over the last 15 years faced losing a partner, mental health struggles, surviving an abusive marriage, and rebuilding her life after divorce. And yet, what she describes as the strength within her is what always causes her to rise back up. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And finally, we're joined by Carla, who inspired the show to happen. She's 32, who works full-time in marketing and is also a content creator. Carla calls herself a negative Nancy turned positive Polly, and her journey of self-transformation is one that many of us can relate to. Welcome, Carla.
Thank you.
So, ladies, thank you all so much for being here. I'd like you all to take a moment to introduce yourselves, maybe mention something that I didn't. Monica, I want to start us off.
First of all, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure, always. So yeah, I'm Monica, 36. A proud foreigner, let's say, living here in Malta for the last 10 years. A single mom of three beautiful kids. And apart all of that, a breast cancer survivor. And I'm trying to see and encourage positivity through all my life challenges, basically. So I'm here to share my journey with everyone else.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And you have already been on the show before, not on the Young Women's Edition.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited actually to have you on my show.
Thank
because
you for having me here. Really,
for
I'm
sure,
excited as well.
for sure. Carla?
So, you covered most of it. I live in Gozo. I've been Gozo for the last 12 years, and I absolutely love it. Everyone who knows me knows I'm obsessed with Gozo because it's such a peaceful and a nice lifestyle, which is what I'm always looking for. And I want to share my take on positivity with the listeners and with the people who follow my content as well. So.
Amazing. It's actually good to know. We met at yoga.
Yes.
So perfect environment, to talk about positivity. So yeah, Rachel?
So in addition to what you said, I'm your average Maltese person, just doing my best to kind of do life, experience it, and, win every struggle and challenge that comes my way. And I'm here to kind of share my journey to show everyone, that we all struggle. And it's in the face of adversity that we actually learn how strong we are.
Beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. So before we jump into our conversation, I'm just going to go through some statistics. So people with high levels of positivity are up to 27 times more likely to recover from mental illness over time. Resilience and positivity are strongly linked to lower rates of anxiety and depression in both clinical and also general populations. And people who practice daily positivity exercises, like for example, gratitude journaling, report a 25% increase in happiness after just 10 weeks. So that's super interesting, I think, to kind of set the tone. And I want to begin with one question to ask all of you. What does positivity mean to you? Whoever wants to start us off.
I mean, I can go first. I think for me, positivity was me kind of having more control of where I was going with my life. So when I wasn't looking at things in a positive way, I had no control over anything. So I was spiraling. Things were going in a direction that I really felt completely not the direction I was supposed to be going in. So whenever I started to say, okay, I can choose, I can either go this way, or I can go this way. Like, what am I going to choose? And yeah, to some people, it's hard to understand until you go through it yourself and you're put in situations where you have to choose whether it's going to be a negative or a positive direction that you're going in. But yeah, for me, it's definitely having that control on your life and as much as you can, right? Because life is life. So you don't have very much control, but
For
at
sure.
least you do what you can.
For sure.
Exactly. In addition to that, for me, it's a mix of accepting what I can't control and focusing on what I can control and redirecting, the hurt, the frustration, whatever you're feeling, and using it to kind of fuel you to get you to where you want to get to solve your problems, to, get over a hurdle or a challenge. And it's also making sure that you're in the right environment that nurtures positivity in terms of space, people, all of it makes a difference.
That's so important. So important.
Yeah. Basically, positivity for me, I think so, is showing up. Showing up for myself, from my own experience, taking control and just realizing what I can control, as you say, and what I cannot. Because usually people think positivity, if you're positive, you are happy. I don't think so. That's the way to look at it, not at least not for myself. And choosing resilience and strength to face the challenges in positive, grateful, probably wave of hope.
Being kind to yourself and showing love to yourself.
Yeah, I like to see it as sort of like finding the silver lining in a shitty situation. Like you could be dealing with the end of the world and you might not actually see the silver lining within that moment. Sometimes it needs to pass because sometimes we go through things that are so difficult that we do have to go to that dark moment, and it's okay. Like it's okay to embrace the darkness because we can't have light without the darkness.
Because you switch to survivor mode.
Yeah.
So when you're in survivor mode, it's hard to see the positive. It's something you kind of need to teach yourself to do.
For sure. For sure. And yeah, so sometimes it can be more of a challenge to actually say like, okay, like, and I actually rejected the word positivity for quite a few years, especially because we do tend to get a lot of toxic positivity, which is definitely something we will explore during the show. But Monica, I want to turn to you. Like you face so much as a breast cancer survivor, as a single mom. What was your journey with positivity throughout all of this?
Yeah, it's actually interesting. I wouldn't say I was very positive person always. I wasn't negative. I was more kind of in the middle, the realistic.
Yeah.
This is the way it has to be. This is the facts and so on. So I think so. The last 3 years, because in the last 3.5 years, yes, this is where I face the most challenges happening one after each other. So first of all, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I wouldn't say I chose to look at the positive way straight away. People would, straight away tell you, oh, be positive, everything will be fine. But in my head, I was like, okay, these are the facts. This is what I have. This is what I have to go through. My kids at that time, I think so, was the reason why I pushed myself. I would actually have to say, like, I forced myself to think positive, not realizing what positivity is. So it's like, oh, yes, I'm positive. Everything is going to be fine. But I wasn't. Now I understand that actually it was not the case. It wasn't positivity. I just was faking it, kind of, However, after my breast cancer journey finished and I battled it, um, I was going through separation and divorce. So another life challenges got into me. And actually, everything started when I got this magic book in my hands. It just showed up. And I think,
book was it?
yeah, it was, if I'm not mistaken, by Roadburn Magic. It's called Magic. It's the same author from Secret.
Yes.
So basically, it's more about gratitude. So I first started to practice gratitude. And when I started practicing gratitude, it seemed like the light showed up in my life, And this is what I said, like, oh my God, this is magic. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe myself. So this is how I introduced slowly positive waves in my life with kindness, gratitude, finding myself again. And kind of everything fell into pieces and in a way, and just it seemed like the door opened. So last 3 years, I would say, and I'm still practicing it. I'm not saying I'm always positive person.
It's a journey.
It's a journey, but I try to look at least in every shitty situation will come up. I always try to look kind of the glass half full, not half empty. You know what I mean?
Take care and enjoy good health. Browns, empowering wellness by providing convenient and innovative health services.
Something about the way you bounce makes me want to keep you around my mind, my mind, mind. Something about the way you sound shakes me up and makes me get down. Oh my. Because you feel me away. Feel me away. Because you feel me away. Feel me away, because you feel me away.
And Rachel, like you've described yourself as someone who like keeps rising no matter what. And where do you think that strength came from? Because, when we're facing difficult things, it's very easy for us to kind of not be in touch with our sense of strength. So is this something that you built, or is this something that I believe is within us? So is it something that was within you and you kind of tapped into it as you were going through your experiences?
I think it was a mix of both. But I had so many events happen through my life in a very short period of time. And I had to learn how to pick myself up. And one of the hardest things I had to accept was no one's going to do it for me. No one's going to come to save you. And no matter how much I dump on others, be it complaining or whatever, that person's not you. Their journey's not yours. And at the end of the day, only you know what's best for you. So you kind of, through trial and error, obviously, I made my fair share of mistakes. I made my fair share of poor choices. I cling to the wrong kind of people as well. So as we were saying, it's a journey. You get more in tune with what you need. And it's also something which I learned along the way. It's apart from the gratitude. And, it's also changing your mindset. We tend to criticize ourselves so much. And we bring ourselves more down by doing that. And the world does that more than enough for us. So it's part of it. I still do it. It's ingrained in us. But then at one point, you need to stop yourself from doing it and you need to switch it the other way around. Okay, how do I feel? What do I need? What am I trying to gain from this? And as I said earlier, I used the anger, the frustration, everything to fuel to get me from point A to point B. So when I was going to certain periods in my life, everyone kept saying, but how are you so calm? I wasn't calm. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry nonstop. But I had to get myself out of certain situations or messes. And no one's going to do that but yourself. So you say, you know what, I do so much for everyone. Why don't I do that for myself?
So super powerful, huh? Like from the get-go. Carla, like you're really open about this transformation that you went from a negative Nancy to a positive Polly. So to someone who is embracing life with more joy, with more ease, I mean, what can you share about this transformation?
I mean, for me, like I said before, I was always looking through a certain lens, and I changed my perspective. The reason I changed my perspective was because I was seeing the after effects. So when I was looking at things in a negative way, it was like a ripple effect. So I would look at it negatively, and all I would see was kind of the bad. And I was missing so many amazing opportunities. There were so many amazing things that came my way, and I didn't see them because I had my eyes completely shut. I was feeling sorry for myself. I felt like I was unlucky. I used this word a lot. I always said, I'm so unlucky. This type of stuff always happens to me. But like I was saying earlier, like, it happens to everyone, right? So the point is that we have to see, how are we going to move on from this? Either way, it happened. What happened happened. So do I dwell on it and I continue to feel the pain from it and make the pain even more than what it already is? Or like what you said, I try to see the positive in any situation. And my life completely changed when I started to see the positives. So many opportunities came my way. Anyone who knows me knows, like, I have an abundance of happiness and good things in my life right now, as well as other things, challenges and difficulties. But yeah, I try to focus more on that, and it works for me. It helps me a lot in life. So.
For sure, for sure. And even you mentioned practicing gratitude. I mean, in my own experience, that was definitely a game changer
Even for me.
because you literally start attracting more of what you focus on.
Exactly.
Like, it doesn't mean that you're never going to go through something difficult in your life
No.
because
It's there.
every time you go through something even more difficult, it's almost like an opportunity to level up, to go to the
Exactly.
next level. But the way that we kind of approach it with our mindset, how we reframe our mindset and whatever we're going through is going to be ultimately the game changer of whether we end up growing from something or whether we end up just victimizing ourselves. And as you said, like feeling sorry for ourselves. But yeah, so when these negative moments come, I'm sure you've all experienced it. I definitely have. Those times when you feel like giving up, when you've experienced that, what was it that you can say like, okay, this, it got me out of that, like of that feeling of hopelessness that is like, okay, this is over for me.
I mean, like every other human, I start with a good cry.
And that's very
Yes.
good. That is very good.
It's important to just be in a safe space, wherever that is, find somewhere where you're comfortable and just let it all out. Because we tend to be strong all the time and then we forget that we need to kind of let it out. And then I learned how to self-talk and self-soothe and not always depend on others to give me the hugs that I need or the comfort that I need. And at the end of the day, you need to talk yourself into it. There's no magic trick into it. And like you said, gratitude helps. And when you're going through such a tough period, sometimes, you know, by practicing gratitude, you find a glimmer of something that just gives you the right amount of happiness, a boost, or it just warms your heart and it motivates you. And for me personally, what helps a lot is moving your body. No matter how heavy and tired you feel, go for a walk, go for a run, whatever it is, move. Because it makes you feel good and it also helps you clear your head.
Definitely. I
It
really
levels
agree
you.
with this.
It levels you a lot. So yeah, you might not feel like it, but it's until you start. And then once you gain the momentum, you'd be surprised that you can't actually stop.
And you know, they actually say that emotions are energy in motion.
Definitely. In fact, I've always done some kind of sports, and a few months ago, it was one blow after the other, and I hit quite a low point, and I got myself into endurance sport, and it's been a game changer for me. It just, just like when you're feeling down and you want to cry, it teaches you good mental strength. And instead of crying, I take it out even harder during training. And I come out, my problems are still there. They're not going to disappear or vanish. But, you say to yourself, you know what, I've got this.
Yeah.
Yes.
It will fizzle out in a few hours, but it just gives you the energy, the boost, the mental boost that you need, where you feel like you can take over the world. And that's what you need.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful the way you explain it, to be honest. Yes, first of all, I always as well start with a good cry. I'm a crier. Yeah.
Me too.
Whoever knows me, they know I am a crier, and I do it on regular basis.
It's okay.
But yeah, and that's the thing, like, because sometimes when people see you crying, they straight away like start worrying about you and like, oh, don't cry, I don't want you to cry. And I'm like, it's okay. I need to.
Yeah.
Like, I need for myself. And I wasn't like this always. Like, every time I used to cry, I used to like, oh, Monica, don't cry, or
Yeah, like
I
we
don't
shame
need to push myself
ourselves.
not to. And when I learned that it's okay to cry, to let it out, and how amazing I feel afterwards, I got to know that this is what I need. This is who I am.
Yeah.
And when I accepted it, I know, like, I do have my regular basis when I need to be alone. I have a good cry. After that, I pick myself up.
Exactly, because it's out.
It's out
It's
there.
out. Even if it takes
I let
30
everything
minutes.
out, and I'm like, put myself back and say, you know what? As you said, I got this. I'm enough. I'm gonna do this. You just put yourself in that mindset, because I think so positivity, this is what it is, isn't it? It's a mindset. How you're gonna take on the things and how you're gonna deal with them. It's either I'm gonna keep crying and complain about it, or just let it out, say, okay, this is really bad. What I can do about this? And then sometimes it does take for me a couple of days. Sometimes I'll be on a low energy. It's not straight away where I pick up and like, yes, I want to do this. Sometimes it does take me a couple of days kind of to process it.
Yeah, we're human.
All exactly. And then I know, always I put in my mind that, as I remember, it always got stuck. These words my therapist said when I was going to her the first, I think so, session. I met her. She said, listen, Monica, you are really low now because life is a wheel. So it always goes around. You are at the bottom now, but you know that you're gonna go up. And this is all the time what I tell myself. Like, it got stuck in my mind. It's like, okay, yeah, she's right. We're all going through stuff, through life, and it's just a mindset I chose now to deal with, basically.
Yeah, like when you find yourself in rock bottom, like, okay, it can't get worse than this, so it's only gonna get better now.
And even if unfortunately, sometimes it happens, it goes another notch down.
Another level.
Yeah, because life does that sometimes. You just know, it's just a wave, you need to ride it. Or there's so many saying, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It is, there's only way up. You just got to figure it out. And all of these things, they're never linear, are they? It's never a straight line.
No, definitely not. Especially like the healing journey as well, the process of grief. We think like, okay, you have these stages and like when you checkpoint through all of them, okay, now I'm at the end. But no. For example, when it comes to grief, you could very well be at a point of acceptance and then go back to rage like the day after.
Definitely. And that's when it's like someone pulls the rug from underneath your feet. You thought you've got the hang of it and you're doing fine. And then something random happens and it just breaks you.
Yeah.
And then you start to feel weak and you say, but why? I've got the hang of this. It's never linear. It's a process.
Yeah, I think like it's important to like know that although you do end up in those situations where you are really down, like you have to talk so good to yourself and you have to remind yourself, you know what, like you are strong, you've been through other stuff, you got through it, like you can do this. Because like what we were saying, like, no one else is going to come and tell you or they will tell you, but the words sometimes can be a little bit empty. So it's really like what you say to yourself and how you kind of keep encouraging yourself and pushing yourself, right?
And something that's helped me a lot for, us who are single sometimes, that we don't have someone available always at home. Even if you do, it's the best thing that honestly was a game changer for me was hugs, self-hugs. Sometimes you just need to hug yourself and say, you know what, it's okay. or wrap yourself in a tight blanket, or snuggle with, I don't know, your other favorite human or your pet, whatever, and just breathe. Just learn to self-soothe and breathe. We can't always just rely on others to help calm our nervous system.
That's really, really, really important, I would say. You've been to one of my yoga classes.
I have. I've been to 2.
You've been to 2, but I like to end my yoga classes always by doing a self-hug. So that's something I never skip. And sometimes
beautiful.
people actually start to get emotional because they probably haven't like hugged themselves like
Yeah.
maybe all their lives or maybe in a really long time. And I encourage them, like hold yourself, like give a little bit of that love and gratitude.
Honestly, it's something very beautiful. I've only started doing it recently, and I just laughed at myself. I'm like, this is so simple. This is ridiculous. How have I never thought about
Why
it?
did no one tell me
Yeah,
this before?
yeah. Because we're so busy, like on a daily basis, giving so much to others, especially as well when you're a mother, that sometimes it can be a bit difficult or foreign to just stop and give that
Self-love.
back to yourself.
That's
you
what
know?
self-love is. It's not about it's not about the facials and the stuff. It's just doing what fills your cup, whatever that is. Being, out in the nature, hugging yourself, listening to your favorite kind of music, just something that makes you feel loved
Yeah.
and cared for.
Yeah. I have a question. Like, were there any moments where it felt as if like being positive was kind of a mask that you have to wear? And Carla, especially, this is a question I wanted to ask you as well because, on social media as a content creator, I think you have it in your bio, like spreading positivity. So that is kind of, sometimes we do feel pressure from social media, right? From showing up, from getting all that content out on time.
Yeah.
So when you're going through a difficult time or any other time, did that ever feel like that for you?
I mean, I share every side of it. So even whenever I'm not feeling great, I share that as well. So people know. Like, I want to be really clear that this is not 24/7, everything's fantastic. Like I said, it's more of a mindset. Rather, it's more of me like telling myself, picking myself up and getting back up again and keeping going. So it's not necessarily that everything's, all flowers and fantastic, although I'd love that, but like it's not the case. Like hard things happen. It's more that I tell myself how to handle a situation. I think it's about handling. I think it's about how you handle a situation, right? So, like the girls are saying, it's okay to cry. I cry all the time. Anyone who knows me, everyone who's met me has seen me cry because I'm a very emotional person, whether it's crying for, happiness or sadness, or I don't know why sometimes, but, I'm a crier. So, but yeah, I think it's really important and actually like touching on that because there are a lot of people on social media who don't share the tough side of it. And then you also have some who do the opposite, right? So maybe they're not sharing any positivity and it's all only the bad things and they're not sharing even when they get something good or when they're happy about something. There has to be a balance. Everything in life, there has to be a balance, right? So some days I'm having a really bad day. Some days if I don't get out of bed, I post. I don't, worry about that. I'll share a photo of myself in bed. Today is a hard day. It's a hard day, but you know what? I'm going to get myself through this. Me, myself, and I. Because
And
that's all.
that is authentic because we all get days for whatever reason that we can't just get out of bed.
Yeah,
Where
it's normal.
we're done, we're tired. We just want to crawl up in a ball and cry.
Which if it works, do it.
Or eat nonstop or
yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you.
What about you? Do you have anything to add on this?
Yes, I think someone you asked about to have a mask kind of positivity. I think so at the beginning, yes, when I was battling the cancer, I put a mask kind of saying, yeah, everything is fine. I looked fine. Nobody would know that, I was going through so much mentally and physically because I looked fine. I acted as I'm fine. Because I believed I needed to do this for my family, for my kids. Everybody was encouraging me, it's gonna be okay. Just think positive. But and I liked I told myself I have to do this because I don't want to look sad. I don't want to look sick. So others feel pity for me.
Mhm.
I never wanted to have that feeling, oh, she's such a poor young lady, So I kind of had a mask with positivity, telling people I'm fine, and then I just go crawl myself in bed and cry from the fear and pain and all the rest. So yeah, there was a time, I think so, where I faked it kind of, until I learned what the true is. Yeah.
As someone raising kids during that time as well, like how did you give permission to yourself to not always be strong, right? Because you're saying it yourself, probably to appear as if like, okay, mommy has it all under control in front of the kids. Like you had that pressure. That's a massive pressure.
Yeah, there was at times where they would see me crying and they come and say, Mommy, okay. I was like, it's mommy, it's okay. And I had to explain at one point, then they were still small, so they wouldn't really get it. But then eventually, with time passing, I always used to hide. I cry when I go to bed, whatever, So they always saw mommy strong. But I think so the lowest they seen me was when I was going through my separation, not my journey through recovery from cancer. So this were the times where I cried and I couldn't stop myself, or I was sad, or I was angry. And eventually I had to explain to them. I said, okay, mommy's sad. It's okay. Sometimes, you are angry. Sometimes you are sad and you cry. Mommy has days like that. And you feel, the love and the worry from them, and it breaks your heart even more. But then I accepted that, I need to teach them. These are the feelings they need to know.
Yeah, I think that's the most
Yeah.
authentic way you could have handled
Exactly.
it, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's not good that we raise children thinking that
Look,
the world
don't
is perfect.
cry. Exactly. Don't cry, you are a boy, or don't show this because you're not allowed to show it. Then eventually, exactly, something I learned that my emotions valid, they matter, and this is what I try to teach them till now,
Vulnerability is not weakness. You
Mhm.
just need to be careful in front of whom you do it, making sure it's a safe space. But we are all allowed to be vulnerable.
And we do live in a society where, if anything, we are coming out of it, but
There's still a lot of pressure. And
Exactly.
it's still difficult sometimes to be vulnerable.
Mhm.
Even at, let's say, a place of work. If you're going through, in my case, when I was going through a very messy separation, I had to be strong and fake it, even at work, because people think that, oh, you're going to cry it out for 4 days straight, and then you're going to come back and you're going to bounce.
There's no
That's-
time. There's
That's
no time
not how
frame.
it works. And we will push through. We will, we're grateful we have work or this and that, and we're going to do our best. But sometimes, we're human, and sometimes there are things that will happen that will break us. And we're going to have really bad days when we can barely function.
Mhm.
But we are forced to fake it and force it.
Just feel alive. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I got that lifestyle, I'm fierce as hell. That brand new top model, that husky fast throttle. Living it up, I don't need it. Said I just feel alive. 'Cause all I got is what I am, and I'm on fire.
there was definitely a time in my life, I think I've mentioned this a bit already, where, and I still don't like to be told to stay positive. Like, I like the messaging, the intention, but I think there are better ways to communicate it. But yeah, I used to have this kind of adversity towards the word positive, especially when everything around you seems like it's falling apart.
Yeah.
And my mom actually used to tell me this one thing. She still says it, but during my surgery at the time, when you're going through something, especially like health related things, can be very difficult to deal with, because when it's something that is happening in your body, no one can do it for you. No one can deal with it for you. You can have the best support system around you, but somewhere or another, you have to supply that sense of strength to get through it. My mom always used to tell me, "Kollox jaddi," which means everything passes. And it used to piss me off so much, because I'm like, okay, I know everything passes, but it's not passing right now. I'm
Yeah.
in it right now. So what's that gonna help me? But eventually, the more I grew up, the more I fell in love with this term. In fact, I actually have it tattooed on my arm now. I look down on it when I'm having a bit of a difficult time, and I'm like, "Kollox jaddi." But going back to this kind of stay positive, sometimes it can feel more like a demand than support. And have you ever felt that like being told to stay positive was kind of invalidating towards the experience that you were going through?
I feel like it's not, it's hard to explain my relationship with this. I don't think it's, when I say like, when I talk about positivity, I'm not telling you to be positive. I'm not saying to like not validate how you feel. It's more like, you know what, like if you are seeing things through a different lens. I use this term a lot because for me, this was a huge, I literally done like a 360. That's when you look through things through a different lens, things are not easier. You're still going through the same challenge. I'm sure you ladies agree with me. You're still going through the same things. The outcome is still there. It's still the same thing. But the feeling that you go through when you're having, all these difficulties, if you're looking at through a different lens, which okay, if we say positivity, it's a different experience, completely different experience. How I'm experiencing life now compared to how I was experiencing life 5 years ago. I can give you an example. I had a bar. I took the bar in, I think it was December I opened. In March, COVID began. So this was in Victoria and Gozo. And so I could have been like, oh my gosh, what have I done? I should close everything now. But I didn't. I said, okay, either way, the outcome's going to be the same. Either way, I'm still in the same situation. So what do I do? So I kept going. And yeah, it was really hard. Yes, I handled things maybe not as well as I could have, as I would have now. But I think the way that you spread
things.
and the way you spread your energy, you can have different impacts on people's lives. So I could have been very angry, and I could have been angry at everyone who came to my bar or who didn't come or whatever. But I wasn't. I was grateful, and I appreciated every customer, even a 50 cents cup of tea. I was so grateful for them because they kept me open, So I think when I say spread positivity, I think it's more like the impact you have on other people around you.
Also be open to you'd be surprised, you'd be open to receiving more, you'd be more
100%.
appreciative. There'll be tiny, like I said earlier, like tiny things which are like glimmers, and they uplift you, they make you smile. So the hardship's still there, it's still horrible, but you'll find yourself smiling, even if it's just for a few seconds. And sometimes it just makes your day. And also, it's also a matter of, in addition, perspective does make a huge difference. Like, for example, recently I lost my job. And yeah, it's not easy, it's hard. And you have so much concerns and worry, but they're still going to be there. So whilst I'm navigating that, I said, you know what? I actually have free time on my hands. I'm going to use this time to obviously get myself out of the situation, but I actually have more time to quality time with my dog. So we're going on more adventures. We're going out. I'm exploring more. I'm doing more projects. I even use the time to dive and study, whereas before it would have been always more difficult to navigate. So yeah, it's not just, I still have bad days. I still struggle and I still question a lot of things in life. But it's about the silver lining, what we were mentioning. Situation's still there. I'm either just going to be a couch potato every day and feel pity for myself and say it's not fair. Yeah, it's not fair. Shit happens. But when am I going to do about this? I'm still going to give it my all. There's still going to be things I can't control. But what can I focus on at this time? And also, it's you reap what you sow. So at the end of the day, you're investing in yourself. You're planting seeds out there. It all comes back one way or another. It always comes back.
Yeah. Would you like to add something? Because I saw you nodding at some point.
I just wanted actually just to say that I feel like, when we're talking about positivity, and as you say, like sometimes when you tell people, oh, just be more positive, as Carla said, you don't mean just to use the word positive so everybody imagines you wishing them to smile or be happy. It is more about the mindset. So I feel not everyone can be positive. There are people who are realistic, as I was before, or more negative people. They're gonna be fine. I just feel like if you are look through the lens in a positive way, you get out from that bottom faster. Because when you look through the negative lens, and you keep complaining or saying, why this happened to me, this is always happening to me, you take longer time.
Yeah.
The people who look through negative, I do have friends who go through really bad times, and I always try to encourage them, stay positive, everything's gonna be fine, you should do this and this, and I see they don't see that light.
No.
I see.
Yeah.
And sometimes it frustrates me. I'm like, oh, just listen to me.
I know what I'm talking about.
It's hard for us to
But I
accept
don't
it.
judge them. I cannot judge them. I am no one to judge, and I will never judge anyone, as nobody can judge me. But they're gonna take longer time
Yeah.
to get that wheel up,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Or miss on opportunities,
Yeah.
no matter how small or big they
So
are.
basically, it's just a choice. It's
yeah.
a choice you have to make and say, listen, I'm just gonna look through this light way, through this light, and see what I can do and how I can just move forward faster.
Yeah. And you'll be amazed at what things change in your life.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that whatever we focus on is going to multiply. So if we're going to focus on the bad, I really, really agree with what you're saying. It's just going to bring more of it. You're going to attract more of it because that's where your mindset is at. But
what you're
if you're
looking for.
like, if you're like sitting here, okay, you're grounded, you have these practices to support you, you're maybe doing a little bit of yoga or moving your body, moving these emotions out of you. At some point, it's like, you realize that sometimes it's actually funny to just sit back. I mean this more for minor inconveniences, when you're having one of those days where everything is going wrong. So we find ourselves getting frustrated, agitated, annoyed. And then at some point, it's good to just sit back and just start laughing at everything, bring a little bit of lightness to it. But what's one misconception about positive people that drives you a little bit crazy?
I can start with this one. I think
Go
it's
for
that
it.
everything is great and that we don't,
Yeah.
nothing happens to us, or that we aren't aware of any of the issues in life, or that anything's going. We're
Happy,
fully aware.
perfect
Yeah.
life.
Oh,
Exactly.
Or I
Like,
get told a lot, oh, you have it so easy. How do you do it?
it's not the case. Not that it's easy.
No, it's not.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
Like Monica said.
Yeah.
Like you're out and you're smiling and you're going through a tough period. And instead of being asked or being told, I'm proud of you for being here, you look great. Instead of uplifting each other, we get told, but how do you look so good? You're going through such a shitty period.
Thanks for reminding
Thank you.
me.
I literally pep talked myself before coming here. It took me an hour of God knows what to actually drag my bomb to be here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have it so easy, right? It's just stuff that happens behind the scene that most people don't bother to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, because this is what people assume, you're positive, you're happy.
Just focus on the facade.
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I hate. I really don't like when they think like everything
Same.
is pink colors and happy. I'm like, you don't know what shit I had to go through to
Get here.
be like this.
Or how much I have to challenge
Yeah,
myself
and still
every
do.
day.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a work in progress. We
For
never
sure.
stop. We're like everyone else out there. There's
Mhm.
no magic wand or anything.
It's also believed, like especially in psychological studies, that the way that our childhood turned out actually has a, we know this already, it has a massive impact on the people that we become. But so if you've endured a particularly negative childhood, it's going to be much harder for you to be a positive person, and vice versa. If you went through a positive childhood, they're going to find it fairly easy to be a positive person. What are your thoughts on this?
Yes, I do agree on it. For sure, it does have an impact for all of us going through childhood traumas, as I believe that doesn't matter how perfect or happy maybe your childhood was, everyone, each of us carries some kind of childhood trauma. This is what I believe into. However, yes, if there are a lot of things which were negative during your childhood years, it's definitely harder to overcome. And it's harder to find that sense of positivity in your life, probably because you're not allowing yourself to see it. And it needs work, I do believe it just doesn't come out of nowhere. So maybe it has to start somewhere. Maybe some of your friends, if they went through it, they would encourage you to go start journaling or go to therapy. It has to be I believe, some kind of breaking point where you have to start to work on yourself, and then you kind of get out there.
Yeah.
I think most of us were brought up to just keep on fighting, to just keep on pushing. But that is survival mode. It's not teaching us how to maneuver certain aspects in life and to be positive, because there's so many ingredients that need to, be in place. But just like you said, there's going to be a breaking point at one point that's going to help us shift. And it also takes consistency to, build a certain level of positivity. There's no magic shortcut or trick to it.
I would say it's 50-50. I would say that you're very affected by your upbringing, but also, it's also you and how you, I don't know, how you've seen things. So I told you guys I was a negative Nancy before. I felt, like everything was against me. I had a really good upbringing. My parents divorced when I was 2, but I had a very good upbringing. My mom is like my biggest support ever. She's not negative. She's not positive either. She's just normal, like very realistic. But she always supported me, but still I was very negative before. I say negative. I felt very hard done by, There were a lot of things that happened. I couldn't understand why they happened. So maybe where I wasn't able to find the answers for these things, like why were they happening, then it had a bad effect on me. So this case was not because of my upbringing. I had a normal upbringing, but I can definitely understand that when someone's only been exposed to negative experiences, trying to break the mold, so to speak, would be a lot harder.
I think it's a normal instinct as well. Even childhood aside, it's easier and more comfortable to ruminate and get stuck in questioning about why.
And the mind's default is negativity. It's not
Yes,
positivity.
it is deeper. That's like we were saying earlier. We criticize ourselves non-stop. We tend to do it. It's part of life. It's something you need to kind of help break free from. I still do it, mind you. It's the first thing I do. I literally bring myself down. But then you need to learn how to switch it the other way around.
I think
Takes
that an
practice.
issue as well, like today, let's say, like nowadays, is that a lot of people bond over mutual negativity.
Yeah,
Instead
trauma
of-
bonding.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Or let's say, like, for example, I don't know, people want to complain about something. They want to talk to someone that they maybe don't know. How do they make this conversation? They say, you're right, this is really bad, or this is awful. That's how they're kind of bonding, right?
Emotional dumping.
Yes. Whereas if you go up to someone and you're like, isn't this amazing? People are going to think you're crazy. Like, you know, people look at me sometimes and they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, fantastic. But like, this is where things are going. We're always bonding over these negative things instead of bonding over how lucky we are. We live in Gozo. Gozo's
Yeah.
beautiful. We're surrounded by the sea. It's so peaceful, you know? Like, why are we not bonding over this more?
Yeah, and on this, on what you're saying, actually, I think I've experienced this firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're going through a negative time, sometimes you will actually find more support, weirdly enough, than when we're going through a positive time.
Right?
It's like some people love to kind of, it's not that they love to see you struggling,
No.
but then once you're doing well, they kind of disappear.
I can
Yeah.
give you an example. I
Go
can give
for
an
it.
example of this, which is kind of where I realized about setting boundaries. I had some friends. I had some great news. I wanted to go tell them. I meet with them. I go to tell them. And I don't get the response that I was expecting. The response that I would give to my friends when they're telling me great news, I'd be over the moon for you. I'd be so excited. I got, well, you know, things can't always be this good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this was the point where I was like,
Wow.
okay, then these are not my people.
Wow. And
so,
you are leading me straight to my next question. You did it beautifully. Boundaries. So you've mentioned, like, sometimes we face people who sometimes their family, sometimes we really love them, we really care for them, but at some point we realize, like, okay, this person is not good for me. This person doesn't want what's best for me. They're not actually there to support me. And actually having a good positive moment is like the perfect test for a lot of friendships and connections. So what boundaries have you had to create, like, with others and also with yourself? Because sometimes we do need to create boundaries with ourselves, like, in order to protect this mental space, this headspace of this mindset of being in a positive place.
Energy. I feel like I need to protect my energy and leave and pick the people who match my energy. That's what I have been doing for the last couple of years, which I never realized. And there were times now when I will look back and I feel like, oh my God, these people were taking my energy from me. They were sucking me. Like, it's hard because, as you mentioned, it can be your family members. It can be your closest friends, for example, for years. And it's not easy just say, hey, you don't match my energy, bye-bye. I had and even till now, I do have friends who I feel they still take my energy. However, there are boundaries. I don't say bye to them. They are my friends. We keep at the level which I feel like it's enough. And there are people who I let in more in my life now because I felt like, you know what? These are the people who I never thought they would be so close or so positive towards me. But more I opened up, I said, oh my God, these seem like it just energy just matches. You feel it.
Exactly.
You just feel it. It can be like a stranger you met a week ago and you feel like, oh my God, like it's just
not only
right.
do they match your energy, it's also accepting you at whatever stage you're at. Not, you know, who your real friends are, or even people who genuinely care for you.
Yeah.
It could be someone you barely know and you'd be surprised by the level of care they show. Is that they don't bring you further down, or they accept you as you are at that stage. They don't try to shut you down, they validate your feelings, or it's a matter of asking the right questions that make you think. And it's when you go silent, when you truly realize the people who genuinely care. When I've had moments where I disappeared because I didn't have energy to deal with anyone. I could barely manage my own feelings. And you find people out of the blue that just message, hey, I haven't heard from you from a while. Are you okay? That simple question holds so much power, and it makes you feel seen and loved. Even if you can barely message back, or they say, you know what, I'm worried about you. Are you okay? That goes such a long way. And that's when you truly know that people care. But boundaries are really important because people sometimes ask the question, hey, how are you doing? but the energy would be off because their intention would not be pure and genuine. They just want to know just for the sake of knowing. So then they can kind of gossip about you or be jealous. So boundaries are very important, and to know what the people in your life, how much, what their intentions are and how much they care about you.
Yeah, I think even like kind of piggybacking off what you're saying with the people messaging you and saying, hey, like how that's really important. But also like for people to understand if you do go silent, like to understand that you do need that time. It's not because of them or because you're
It's not personal.
it's not personal. I know myself, I know my mind and how I am. And if I need to take a small break, like for example, from social media or just from the noise of life, because it's very noisy, those people who understand, like, or, when you want to cancel plans last minute. Yeah, those people who understand that, like, those are the type of people that I allow in. And then people who, for example, I feel worried that I'm going to offend them by not showing up or so on, then I have to set boundaries
You
there.
know what kind of relationship you have with that person.
Exactly. So I made some clear boundaries like that. Like Monica said, some people I haven't completely shut out of my life. I just limited their access to my peace. So they can't affect me and my peace. They're there. I will meet them. I'll always be there for them if they need something, because that's the type of person that I am. However, I will not let them affect my energy.
People who don't respect your energy and your privacy, you know what place they should or shouldn't have in your life, basically. Especially if you made it clear, this is not personal. I just need to take a breather. It's not, they shouldn't take it personally. You're not doing anything to insult them or anything. But if someone gets on the defensive or they give you shit because you're being too private, then you already know that that person doesn't love you enough.
Periods are part of the game, but they don't have to throw you off your game. Try new Always Platinum for up to 100% leak protection, faster absorption, dry feel, and it's more cushiony, so you can focus on your game. It's a new Period, Always.
I have just one last question before we go into our closing segment. And this is an interesting question because this is actually the first show I'm doing on the Young Women's Edition, where I am the only 25-year-old on the show. So this is really a question for you, which I cannot answer. Do you think that positivity looks different in your 30s than it does in your 20s?
For me, it does. For me, it really does. In my 20s, I didn't really understand it properly. I didn't understand what it really meant for me. Like we've said a lot, it means different things to all of us, right? So for me, I didn't really understand how to navigate life properly or so on, or how to handle challenges. I said before, I was, let's say, I hate saying this word negative, but I was like, I did feel a little bit hard done by. And I didn't know how to regulate my emotions and so on. So in my 20s, I spiraled a lot. Like I said, I took things out on people that I shouldn't have, these types of things. So in my 20s, it was hugely different. My 30s, like life begins at 30s for me. I am, things are coming my way because I'm putting the right energy out. So bad things still happen, like I said, not at all saying that there's nothing, negative in life, because it's not a fact. But my 30s are completely different because I'm open to it and I'm allowing it. So
Same, I'm pretty much the same. Most people are scared of their 30s, and literally
don't be.
No, honestly, I think even life's challenges on the side, I think the shift started round about my 30th birthday, because I was reflecting and I looked back and I said, you know what, the 20s are the steepest and hardest
They
and
say
most
they're messy, yeah.
nerve-wracking and messy. And just like Carla, I was taking it out on people. I spiraled a lot. I mishandled a lot of situations. I didn't know how to control my own emotions. I was constantly having outbursts. It was ridiculous. And then I said, you know what, I'm gonna leave that stuff behind me. And I don't want to carry that into my next 10 years of life, if I'm lucky to live another 10 years. And I started, looking up to other people and finding, reading books and doing a lot of self-development. I said, you know what, this is what I aspire to be, or this is inspiring me. I don't strive to be anyone else. I want to be me, but I found things that inspired me. And I said, okay, I don't always have to have my shit together, but I definitely want to be a better person, and that was it basically. So yeah, people shouldn't be scared of their 30s. Actually, it's the period where you get to know yourself on a much deeper level, and it's quite beautiful. It's scary, but it's beautiful.
That's encouraging. It's encouraging. I feel like I'm a few steps ahead of what a normal 25-year-old would be, because my big life-changing thing happened when I was 19. I wasn't even in my 20s yet. So I've already kind of like all of the things that you've shared, like I've already experienced them, and so that's hopeful, I guess. But the 20s are definitely messy. Like they're the messy healing. You're growing up, everything's changing, your family's changing, you're probably starting to lose some people as well. So yeah, I was curious
in your
to
20s, and you might go, I went through a huge traumatic experience when I was 18, and then I thought I knew what I was doing, and now I reflect back sometimes and I say, what on earth was I doing? No, it's
whenever
so
we
messy.
think we have it together, we don't.
Well, I'm the oldest here. So let me tell you, girls. No, to be honest, I don't think so. It should, how I say it, the age should define when you cross that line about positivity, because you might never do that. There are people who live all their life and they are grumpy and negative and just always grumbling and so on. But I think it does come through your challenges and experiences you go through life, depending on the level, obviously. So you might be in your 20s, you weren't even in your 20s yourself, where you go through something really hard and it might shift your mindset, or something happened as like the book came in my hands, so it can be anyone, maybe in 20s or teens, who can change your mindset. I feel a lot of things, because for me, a lot of things happen in my 30s. This is where my mind and the look through the world change, especially after cancer. I started to appreciate things, not to take for granted. However, you are scared about your 30s. I'm actually looking towards my 40s. I don't know why. I just had this feeling. It's really, really weird feeling. I feel like my 40s, I'm just gonna be glowing.
Yes.
I don't know why. I think so with every age, like in 20s, you are scared to be 30s, in 30s. But then when you're in 30s and when you pass the mid of 30s, you kind of, every year passes, it just gives you that knowledge.
Yeah.
It gives you self-love.
Yes.
And you feel more grounded, more
Yes.
grateful for things, and it's
Excited for
excited
what's
for
to
what's to
come,
come.
instead of always being scared of the unknown.
Yeah.
Because your 20s, I think so, your 20s has to be messy. They have to be fun. I mean, my 20s, like I did all the things in the world, which I might say I regret it. I don't. And then settling in 30s, it was kind of settlement, okay, I done all these things, let me settle now. So there was another level. And a lot of experiences happened then. So where, as I said, now I'm looking forward to my 40s. Not so fast. Slow down.
Slowly. I mean, this fear I spoke of, to be honest, it does not originate from me. It is something that I feel from society. But I mean, truthfully, from my experiences made me very grateful to be aging another year always. Even sometimes when I find myself around people who are scared of getting old and scared of wrinkles and scared of
Yeah.
white hair, I really can't resonate, because we should be so grateful for having to live
Yeah.
another day.
Exactly.
Like, nothing is given to you. Why are you worried about what you're going to look like in 10 years' time when living another 10 years is not a
Exactly.
given
It's
to
not
you?
given. Exactly. That's something
So,
I had to learn as well at a young age, and I lost so many people throughout my 20s. And people, I see it a lot in 20-year-olds, they take life for granted.
Yeah.
yeah.
We are not sure till when we have life.
I literally live by this, and I say it to people all the time. Like, my father, he passed away in his mid-30s,
Wow.
So for me, like, knowing that, you know, he was just a little bit older than what I am, and he didn't know what was around the corner. So that's why, like, I'm literally living every moment. Like, I'm grateful for every moment I have. I hope I have many, many years left to be great, like, you know, to enjoy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're so lucky. We have
Yeah.
so much given to us.
And we need this so much, right? I mean, we're living in a society which is constantly, you mentioned it at some point, we get it so much from around us, the sense of negativity, the sense of, it's almost an act of rebellion to accept
Yeah.
yourself as you are in this
Yeah.
day and age, because there's always something that, oh, you need to change that, you need to
Yeah.
change this.
It's okay to be yourself.
Yeah.
You always have to be true to yourself, whatever that is,
Yeah.
and not let others affect you. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, life is meant to be felt and experienced, not to be perfect.
Exactly.
That is so beautiful, guys. So we are, of course, approaching the end of the show. And before we wrap up, I'd like to ask each of you, I always like to finish with this sort of words of wisdom. So, what's one message you want to leave with anyone? Frame it however you want to. What is your message?
I just want to tell everyone just to remind themselves every day that you are enough, and take life with inch of positivity to grow, to basically just accept and don't be too harsh on yourself. I think so. Just live, experience, and have this strength and resilience to show up. So that will be my message.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, I think quite similar to like what you're saying. Just do it for yourself. Like the feelings that you're going to get from that, every day is going to be a little bit brighter. You're doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for anyone else. It's not a show. It's not something that you're putting on, because you're doing it for you. You're not necessarily doing it for everyone around you. The bonus is that you are going to affect everyone around you. You know, you're going to make somebody's day that little better than what it was going to be because of your energy, and that's beautiful. Like, we need more people like that, I think.
Definitely.
Beautiful.
I think it's a matter of learning to sit with the discomfort, feel all of it. And it's okay to have setbacks and failures. They're life lessons. They're there for a reason. And most importantly, to trust and believe that you have the power and the strength to get through what you need to get through.
Beautiful, ladies. Absolutely beautiful. I really would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here, for your truth, for your strength, for your honesty. I mean, living in a world where the word positivity is thrown around so carelessly, I think we have really managed to capture what it is, what is so important about it. And this conversation is what the She Word is all about. At the end of the day, creating space for these real stories, connection, and the kind of support that changes lives. So let's keep these conversations going until every young woman knows that she has the right to hope, to heal, and to rise again. And I would like to thank you for watching.